In a small, peaceful house nestled on the edge of the Scottish countryside, a silver-haired woman sat quietly in front of the fireplace. The flickering firelight was not enough to warm her slightly trembling hands, nor to dispel the melancholy in her eyes that had been watching the television screen all morning. On the screen, news from London kept broadcasting a name that made her heart ache: Sam Heughan, her only son. Chrissy Heughan, the mother of the famous actor, was a talented visual artist. Her whole life was filled with colors, paintings, and beautiful natural scenes. But today, all the colors were blurred. The hot cup of tea beside her had long gone cold. The hands that used to draw gentle strokes now only knew how to squeeze each other, straining to restrain. Outlander actor Sam Heughan has undergone a 24-hour operation to treat a serious blood vessel complication. He is in intensive care at London Bridge Hospital. Chrissy shuddered at the news, even though the doctor had assured her that the surgery had gone smoothly. But what mother could rest assured when her son, who was once full of life, radiant and optimistic, was now lying motionless amid tubes and the cold sounds of machines? Chrissy has never been fond of appearing in the media. She lives quietly, speaking few words. But for Sam, she has always been an unshakable support. Having raised Sam alone after his father left when he was young, Chrissy was the first person to discover Sam's artistic talent. The one who encouraged him to enroll in drama school, then followed him every step from small stages to the Hollywood red carpet. Sam has always been strong, she once shared in a rare interview. But sometimes I wish he would allow himself to be weak so someone could hold him and say, "You don't have to be so tough." This time, Chrissy felt truly helpless. Sam was in London. She was in Scotland. Although her team kept her updated on his condition every day, nothing could replace the feeling of holding his hand, looking into his eyes, and seeing for herself, "He's okay." That evening, she took out a blank sheet of paper and wrote carefully in her familiar, soft, slanted handwriting. For years, she had written letters like this every time Sam was away from home. "Dear Sam, you have always been my greatest pride. Not because of your movies or awards, but because you have always been kind, sincere, and loving. When I heard that you had to have surgery, I was devastated. I just wished I could bear all the pain for you, but I believe in you. You are stronger than anyone I have ever known, and I believe you will overcome this time, just like you have overcome so many other hardships in your life. If you read this and smile, please wink because I will feel it from afar. I love you so much, Mom." She did not send an email. Instead, Chrissy called Sam's personal assistant and asked him to deliver the letter in person, because she believed that in the fragile moment between life and death, a handwritten letter, with real warmth, can touch a person's heart. A hospital source later revealed, when Sam woke up from his long coma, the first words he uttered, in a hoarse, almost inaudible voice, were, "Mom, do you know?" His eyes were filled with tears full of worry. Sam was not afraid of pain. He was only afraid of his mother being sad. Even though he was a big star, he was always a son who put his family first. A role for life. No camera, no script. When he received the letter, Sam burst into tears. Not because of the surgery or fatigue, but because of the unconditional quiet and intense love of his mother, who had always silently watched over him throughout his journey as a human being. The good news is that Sam's condition is currently showing signs of improvement. He still cannot walk on his own, but he can eat light meals, make short conversations, and start practicing respiratory rehabilitation. Chrissy is preparing to go to London this weekend. Not for the press, not for interviews, just to do the one thing she wanted to do, hold her son's hand as she had done all those times Sam had a high fever when he was a child. No lines can be written enough. No movie can tell it all. But motherhood, that immense and silent love, is the most touching story in Sam Heughan's life. The next morning, pale yellow sunlight filtered through the large windows of the intensive care unit at London Bridge Hospital. Each ray of sunlight fell on Sam's thin face. He was sleeping, breathing softly. The door opened. A small figure walked in. Silver hair, a face marked by time, but eyes as bright as ever. It was Chrissy Heughan. She brought no flowers, no gifts, only a mother's love. silent, wordless, but forever irreplaceable, the one who brought honor to the family but also the one who made her worry every minute, every second, was Sam. When Chrissy gently placed her hand on her son's shoulder, a slight movement made her stop. Sam opened his eyes slightly. In that moment, it was as if all sounds had stopped. Their eyes met. A look of surprise, of emotion. A look filled with a deep maternal love that could not be described in words. "Mom." Sam whispered, his voice trembling as if the very word made his throat ache. Chrissy squeezed his hand, pressing it to her cheek as a reflex that had been imprinted in her heart for so many years. "It's me, son. I'm still here." The tears couldn't be stopped. Sam burst into tears. Tears flowed silently. Not because of the pain, but because he knew he could still see his mother. He had been afraid that he wouldn't be able to say goodbye. But she came. Not a word of reproach, not anger, just a gentle gaze and a warm handshake that made her son's heart burst. Chrissy sat down gently, wiping her son's tears with a towel. She smiled. "My Sam still cries like when he was a baby. Remember, the day you fell off your bike, I wiped your tears like this too." Sam chuckled, though his face was still haggard. "That time I threatened to take away your bike if you ran that fast again?" Chrissy giggled. "And you still ran like crazy because you've always been fearless. But this time—" Her voice dropped. Her eyes were red. Sam squeezed her mother's hand. "I'm sorry for making you worry." Chrissy just shook her head. "No, Sam. I'm not afraid of the worst. I'm just afraid you'll have to bear it alone." That day, the hospital made an exception for Chrissy to stay in the ward longer than usual. A full day of motherly love. She fed her son spoonfuls of porridge, read him old poems she had written, told him childhood memories. Simple stories that made both mother and son laugh and cry. Sam, from the image of a hero on the screen, a symbol of strong masculinity, now in his mother's arms was just a little boy who needed to be comforted. He did not feel ashamed. On the contrary, he was grateful to be a son, in the true sense. No need to force himself. No need to act. That emotional reunion quickly went viral on social media. Although no camera captured the moment, a nurse who happened to witness Sam hugging his mother was moved to share. "I have worked in the medical field for 20 years, but I have never seen anyone cry like Sam when he saw his mother. He kept whispering, 'Thank you, Mom. I thought I would never see you again.' The entire medical team was choked up. Soon, keywords like "Wash Sam" and his mom, "Tikak Tu Hugh Heart Dot Mother" and son reunion flooded social platforms. Fans from all over the world shared the story, sent their best wishes to the mother and son, and even set up an online page called Letters to Chrissy to express their gratitude to the woman who had silently raised a Scottish gentleman admired by the whole world. The presence of his mother was like a miracle that miraculously revived Sam's spirit. He ate better, talked longer, and his face was much less tense. Doctors were optimistic if things continued as they were. Sam could be discharged almost a month earlier than expected, just 3 weeks away. Katrina Balfe, a longtime co-star and first caretaker, came to watch the mother and son hug and laugh. In a brief interview, she said, "I think if there's anything more powerful than medicine, it's a mother's love." That evening, before leaving Sam's room to rest, Chrissy sat down by his son's bed and held his hand one more time. She whispered, her voice trembling slightly, "I've prayed every day to see you again. And now, I want you to promise me something. Slow down a little. Give less to the world and more to yourself." Sam nodded, eyes red. "I promise. And I want you to stay with me a little longer. After I leave the hospital, can you come back to Skye with me for a few days?" Chrissy smiled brightly as if the world had suddenly brightened. Of course, Skye C and my son. What could be better? The reunion after a near-death experience was more than just a physical recovery. It was a heart-to-heart, a mother-son bond that transcended all boundaries, fame, spotlight, or time. For Sam Heughan, this was not the end. It was the beginning of a new journey, one that began with a mother's arms. In a world of change where fame comes and goes and the limelight is fleeting, there is one thing that is eternal: A Mother's Love. Sam Heughan, the name we admire on screen. Today is not a hero in a kilt or a mighty warrior. Today, he is just a son, lying silently in his mother's arms, finding the heartbeat of the one who gave him life. Life can take us very far. But when everything seems to collapse, it is the love of family, the silent presence of those who love us unconditionally. That keeps us standing firm again. Pause, change tone, thank the audience. Thank you for listening to the end of today's story. We know that each of you is carrying your own feelings about your mother, your family, or someone who held your hand when you were at your weakest. If the story of Sam and his mother Chrissy touches you, leave a message under the video. Or simply call your mother, send a thank you, because you are still lucky enough to do so, and if you think this journey is worth spreading, don't hesitate to share the video. Because who knows, somewhere there is a child who needs to be reminded. Come back to your mother's arms, the only place that always waits for you no matter who you are, where you are, or how far you have gone. See you in the next stories.